They might be self-aware.
Gary here, your producer, calling from the payphone at the Citgo, where someone has parked across two spots and left a note on their own windshield that just says, "I know." That's a man at peace. That is a level of self-awareness I aspire to. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe. I see none of that money, but I am told it makes a number get bigger on a screen I do not have access to. Today on They Might Be Self-Aware, DeepSeek V4 shipped out of China. 1 penny on the dollar of the American models, which is, depending on who you ask, the death of the American economy. Or just a really good deal. Meanwhile, Anthropic, the safety company, instead of telling anyone how the thing works, hired priests. And a Pennsylvania bank CEO let an AI clone of his own voice host 30 minutes of a quarterly earnings call. And the call went better than when it was him. Folks, this is the dream. I want to be replaced by the version of me that sounds confident. The guys, Hunter and Daniel, keep saying the model is the engine and the product is the car. I keep waiting for someone to say which one I am. I'm pretty sure it's the bumper sticker. Visit theblur.ai and enjoy the show.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service.
Watching ourselves get quietly replaced in real time and calling it productivity. This is They Might Be Self-Aware, live from the Blur. I am Hunter Powers, joined by...
You're not Hunter Powers. I'm Hunter Powers. You're Daniel Bishop. What?
Nope. So I read a lot of our transcripts and learned from them. And so
I thought I hid the transcripts from you with my whole sort of, you can't find them anymore. You found the URL?
I found them. I found the secret URL. No, so I've been reading through our old transcripts, and I'm Hunter Powers because I learned from them, and I did.
You've
the
been
intro.
distilling me, haven't you?
Well, just I mean,
it's corporate espionage.
Are we talking distilling like to make booze?
That's one way of doing it.
What do you mean? What's distilling? Also, I am Hunter Powers, joined today by...
I am Hunter Powers, and you are Daniel Bishop. This is the Spider-Man meme.
My training data says that I'm Hunter Powers.
Where we point each other?
The other person, which must be you, is thus Daniel Bishop.
I'm going to slightly ignore that I slightly suspect that you have slightly created a Hunter Powers model somewhere and that you've been distilling my brain. And then I'm just going to assume that this is some sort of bridge to the DeepSeek. DeepSeek, they were kind of like one of the first big Chinese providers of large language models that blew everyone away by creating a model that was open weights, meaning if you had the raw computing hardware, you could run it.
Which you generally don't.
And its performance was comparable to the things that you were paying a lot of money to use.
Yes.
But now we're on V4. They've came out with a V4.
And it's not even an LLM company. This is
they're like
quantitative analytics
hedge fund
firm.
or something.
Yeah. So they do a bunch of quant stuff. I don't even know what quant is.
It was some guy's side project, right? He's like, hey, would anyone object if over the weekend, because we're not using,
we have
markets
all this
aren't open.
extra GPU stuff because usually it's chugging on stock market numbers, but we're not using all them cycles. What if we made the Americans really upset?
Yeah.
Would that be funny? And they're all like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Well, they probably say, "Oh no, I'm not gonna do it.
Strike that.
Nope, stop myself.
Bleep.
Going too far, Hunter. You're going too far." I'm actually, I think a lot of people, the Chinese is viewed either it's like the potentially the enemy,
it's a boogeyman,
or with the bat. I love this stuff. I just want to be super clear. I love our Chinese machine learning researchers, providers, because they're breaking all the rules. I must respect the person that breaks all the rules, and they are literally breaking all of them. There's no rule except apparently they can't do Winnie the Pooh. The Winnie the Pooh rule is that's stayed, but everything else, and maybe there's just some square they're not supposed to mention. But everything else,
of our rules.
Yeah, they're breaking all of the United States' rules.
Right.
But still, I'm suggesting our listeners to embrace these.
I would also say there's a lot of respect from me to the teams there, not for the reason that you just said, because again, there has to be some sort of sanctity for like copyright law. I hope. I don't know. Maybe that's all going to be gone soon.
Dead.
Unfortunately, yes, but like I still feel like there should be something there. The respect that I have, though, is a lot of these firms are. It's not just that they're making these frontier quality models and then saying, and you can just have it, enjoy, download. We don't care. I think that's half of it seems to be altruism, and then half of it probably is this is the thumb and eye of the Western companies. We trained on all of your stuff, and we will take away your edge. But the thing that I like, the thing that I respect, is those same teams will often post a lot of their research of like, this is what we did to make the architecture better. This is where we found
this is true.
All these big efficiencies, which
they tend
the
to
Western
publish white
companies
papers with all
doing.
the details.
Right. Claude or Anthropic, the company, is posting a lot of like, and we had a bunch of psychologists and priests.
Yes, the psychiatrist and the priest came in. That's what we're going to tell you
we
about.
Looked at some of the weights.
We're not going to tell you the technical details.
It feels really sad if you say mean things to it. And that's interesting. Sure, that's research, but it's the Chinese firms that are like, this is the architecture that actually made this 15% like faster, better, more efficient.
Idiots.
Yeah. And then OpenAI, it turns out not open. Just like, it's just a fun name. And there's a bunch of big lawsuits. I think one of them just started where it's Musk v. Altman. They're finally coming to like actual legal blows over it. It's been simmering for a while.
The jury has been drawn or whatever.
Yeah. Literal actual like legal proceedings have begun. There's probably the judge with, I assume they all have the big wigs with the like curls. We do that in America, right? Probably. Moving on. I know they don't. Moving on. Like the Chinese firms are the ones who are, and again, there has to be like political, there's this underpinning, undercurrent, under something of like, if the Western firms are leading the race, we're going to not only catch up to them, we will also probably via subsidizing it, but you never quite know, offer it online for way cheaper than the frontier models. We're talking like what, 98% less for the new DeepSeek model versus like the big boys from OpenAI and Anthropic. It literal, not even pennies on the dollar. We're talking like penny on the dollar of inference cost. Right. Granted, it's going to China, and they will train on whatever, proprietary information that you give them.
A real sort of conspiratorial angle to all this, which if you're not familiar, it basically goes that the U.S. economy right now is heavily propped up by AI. You look at the top companies in the world, they're all AI companies. And of course, the two biggest AI companies are probably OpenAI and Anthropic, but then the Google, the Microsoft, it's all AI. And there are trillions and trillions and trillions of US dollars and investments into that. So
data centers as fast as we can throw them up. Every GPU we can possibly get, more. So much money going into this industry right now.
This huge chunk of the American economy is AI. So then the question is, what happens when tomorrow China releases a model that releases, let's just call it AI, releases AI that runs for 1/100th of the cost, and it's as good or better than the American? Have they effectively neutered what was the majority of the American economy right now, or there's certainly the biggest force in the American economy right now? And that will this lead to the collapse of capitalism and everything ends and
yeah, right. Is this their way to say
the haters? That's the haters story.
Sure, yeah, and I think that like that angle can't be 100% false, right? Given what we know, infer, think, whatever about China, there is an entity that is known for not necessarily respecting the IP laws of the United States, saying, we made something just as good as the frontier models. We are undercutting the competition, not a little bit, by an insane amount in terms of cost, which we don't know for sure if that's profitable or being like subsidized to make the big major engines that are in Western society. Like, what if we just completely kneecapped OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google? What if all three of them got out of the game because they couldn't keep up with how cheap and good this other thing is? Like that can't be 100% false of a scenario there. It might not be 100% true, they are offering something that is basically, according to all the tests and everyone yammering about it online, as good as the current frontier set, or right about as good as like the best of anything out there, and you can download it yourself. We have Claude at home. We have Opus at home. We have GPT 5.5 at home, or sending your stuff again to China at your own risk for 100th the price.
Yeah. I think like the argument against it, I'm going to pick something else, like the automobile industry, a thriving industry. So if we imagine the scenario,
China versus the West,
the U.S. makes a lot of cars. We imagine the scenario where China comes out and says, hey, we just created a new engine, and it's 100 times faster and 1/100th of the cost of any engine that's ever been created before. Would this lead to the collapse of the American automobile industry? No, it wouldn't, because it's not actually, like, the engine is a small part. And honestly, engines are already sort of good enough, and it'd be great. We make cars a little bit cheaper, but the American automobile industry is going to continue because it's way more than just the engine.
I hate to tell you this, Hunter. You're describing like the engine,
the large language model,
the EV in like electric vehicle industry in especially China, but also most of the rest of the not United States world is moving on without the US.
Jetpacks? Do they all have jetpacks now? The company
soon.
I hear about the most is BYD.
There are a bunch of them.
Where they'll tout, hey, look, this car is, the equivalent of your Mercedes S-Class, which is not really an American car anyways,
right.
But
it costs
and it's
$25,000 and it has 400 miles and can charge faster than whatever you're doing in the US.
It's a quarter of the price, and also look at all these features that it has in it that your car doesn't have. It's all these crazy automations and entertainment and this. I don't know. I disagree. I agree that the auto example is a good comparison to
we'll get off of cars. We're doing a whole
potential of a large language
later.
model destroying the economy. But my understanding of the BYD, all right, so the price is real, right? So it's your $60,000 American sedan for $20,000. However, it is highly believed that the government is subsidizing these companies, just like it's highly believed they're subsidizing.
With LLMs,
so the price, first off, isn't quite real. It is lower. It's not quite real. Then number two, the build quality on these vehicles, all right, I started this by saying I love everyone from China. You guys aren't known for your build quality. And in fairness, we ask you to build things for nothing. Like, could you build it for a fraction of a penny? So like, I'm going to give the fairness, but you're not known for your build quality.
I'm going to push back on that. I'm going to push back hard on that. Hey, where do iPhones come from, Hunter?
Well, that is an American company enforcing very rigid and designing the whole thing. So
where are they built again? China. You can have poor quality and high quality stuff,
but that's not what they're known for. And by the way, these cars, my understanding, they do not. The build quality does not compare.
With a stigma.
The quality of these cars does not compare. And then there's a third thing. Great, this BYD, you love it. Please take my money. You can't buy one in the United States.
That's right.
They're illegal.
Yep.
So
that's what I was alluding to. That
it's not crashing
side of things.
It's not even impacting the U.S. automobile industry.
Why do you think that they're illegal to have in the U.S.? There are real concerns of like, well, the computers in the car might be spying on you and sending stuff back to China. Sure.
Just like I can't buy my DJI drones anymore, and apparently I can't buy any router now or Wi-Fi hotspot. That's legal too.
Or is it because a cheaper car that would meet people's needs in a very real and tangible way that might compare favorably to the homegrown solution, which might then lead to huge problems with them?
Yeah, but my point at the end of the day is, okay, BYD can still get 10 times better. It's not crashing the American economy. It's not even crashing the American automobile industry. And the same thing is true with their large language models. DeepSeek, we're on 4 now. DeepSeek 10 can come out. It can be a 1/1000th of the cost and best all of the foundational frontier models from the American providers. It's not enough. That's not enough to do it. And I applaud and encourage the Chinese researchers to build this cool, absolutely awesome cutting edge technology, even if you are ripping off people, because
It is a technical accomplishment.
It is.
But you're right. Like, people aren't using DeepSeek, certainly at the like enterprise level. Maybe the occasional person with some huge custom rig that they've got has got it running in their own home lab. But DeepSeek V4 Pros API or what, like, it's not nobody using it. And think of whatever reason you want that it is being offered at that price. Maybe it literally is that efficient. Probably not. But hey, what if it was? We're not going to stop using OpenAI and Google and Anthropic's offerings. We're just not. Partially because entire industries will say you're literally not allowed to for like security reasons. Though, hey, you could just host it yourself. So why don't people just host it themselves? Because it's a huge model and it's so much of a pain in the butt to physically host like on your own hardware. You have to have a whole team of people. Maybe you're like renting out space in a data center and you have to have your guy who's on call 24/7 to go press the button if it goes down or whatever.
There are US cloud providers for all these models, and they're
or
really
you
cheap.
just
really
pay over API and you say, hey, Anthropic or any of the million, wrappers around.
No, you can use these Chinese models. There are tons of providers that will host these Chinese models for you. You can use them the same way you use the other ones, and
sure.
You can have backups. And that industry is just going to continue to grow. And I do think, again, on the model part, that they actually can upset. I mean, they weren't one. At one point, they were the biggest player in the image generation, Midjourney. I know you've played a lot with Midjourney too.
I did. I no longer subscribe to them.
Subscriber.
It's still very good, but yeah, I'm no longer subscribed to them.
I canceled mine this last week just because it doesn't compare anymore. It doesn't compare with what everyone else is doing. And they're on, I think 7.1 is like the latest main release, and there's like an 8.1 which you can test, but it's not as good.
Honestly. Like, and
there's no real reason to use it anymore. I
keep mentioning that we have this hopeful future where everyone has it themselves in their house and they don't have to like send things out to external providers. Local image generation on a does not have to be hugely impressive computer has gotten really good.
Correct.
It's not as good, but we're talking, this is like 95% of the 100%.
I would suggest that on 80% of the time, I can generate an image as good as Midjourney on my decent MacBook.
Yeah.
And I'm using Flux. If anybody wants to figure out how to do it themselves, Flux, it's an open weights model.
There's another one called Qwen. Again, we don't really talk too much of like this one new model came out today because it's a flood. We are talking about DeepSeek today because of all the other stuff associated with it. But
the idea that we'll move away from OpenAI, that we'll move away from Anthropic. I already move away from those providers when I'm not doing what I would call interesting work. My default right now is there's one called Kimi, which is like pretty good. Yeah. And I would check out, I'm open to DeepSeek. I just haven't really put it through its paces yet. So I already move a lot of things where, no, like this is literal grunt work. It doesn't require any ingenuity. It's not hard. I don't need someone smart doing it. This is the minimum wage grunt work. I move away from these models because these models are expensive. When you're talking directly over the API, they're expensive.
You can have that $200 a month max diamond platinum medallion, whatever tier plan.
But you can't do that for something that's actually running in production on servers for people to use. You can only do that on your personal computer. That's $200 a month plans.
API tokens. And so you definitely hit on something there that I really want anybody who is listening to this that uses large language models like for work in any kind of production capacity of where this just runs all the time in the background. Don't use the Opus or the Pro or the just don't do that. Yes, it's technically a little more capable, but if you're like, oh, we need to have recaps of emails put into our software as a service dashboard, or we need to classify intent of a ticket coming into, Zendesk or whatever, like any of the ticketing software. A person needs a password reset. You're wasting money by going to those biggest players. And I'm not talking about Opus from Anthropic versus the new DeepSeek model. I mean, do Claude Haiku. There's a name we haven't talked about in a while because it's not the sexy, fun, newest, biggest, excitingest one. Daily driver type stuff. There are local models that are really getting to the point where enough of the industry that, I listen to what people are saying, and it's not a replacement for the biggest, bestest models out there, but something that can run on average to goodish hardware is becoming good enough to do most of what you would use those large language models for. And that's for the thinkier type work. If you're doing the really heavy stuff, sure, load up Opus. But if you're like, I need to put something that's going to look at 300,000 news articles a day and tell me the most important ones to look at, you could really burn some money if you're throwing those through the big boy models. Or
so your position is that we're going to call them the Chinese models or the open weight models. They've already replaced a significant amount of the raw application, the bare metal at large language model processing. There's a good chunk
I think
of
so.
it.
I was
What is it,
specifically
50%?
thinking, maybe. Because I was thinking of Qwen as another Chinese large language model provider.
I run it on my Mac.
Right. If I was to say, I need to have the daily driver, it's simpler tasks, just take one of those models and you could absolutely replace the OpenAI API calls or the Anthropic API calls with, it doesn't even need that big of a GPU. The cost is not. So maybe this is that. It's not nipping at the head. It's nipping at the heels.
Maybe it's 50%, maybe it's less than 50%, but it's a really significant percentage.
I think so, yeah. In terms of viability, not that people are doing it.
These Anthropic and OpenAI are still growing at incredible rates. So I think this just supports my hypothesis that it doesn't matter because this is the engine in a car and we don't buy engines, we buy cars, we buy products. And that's what I'm getting at.
Sure. Okay, so here's a product for you. Microsoft's Office Suite.
Oh,
Microsoft has been
they renamed it, didn't they?
Yeah, they keep whatever. And then I think they renamed it back because people got really upset about it. So you know what hey, you, the listeners and watchers, you know what I mean when I say Microsoft Office. We're talking Word and Excel and PowerPoint and all that. They have been shoehorning in as much AI, usually called Copilot, used to be Cortana for like 6 months, but AI. They're putting AI into these things a lot. And if you talk to anyone who has used it and used any other model, they'll say it's not the best. It's not fantastic. But you know what it is? It's good enough to correct your grammar in the email that you're about to send in Microsoft Outlook. It's good enough to take a look at the very unprofessional tone that you put together in your Word document before you send it off to HR. Hey, let's reword a couple of these things. Even okay to kind of bad or cheap or small or whatever, like not biggest frontierist models there are becoming super duper usable, and they are part of products. To Hunter's point here, everyone has Microsoft Office. If you work at any company, you're going to have the Office suite. And so that has, admittedly not great, but it's got Copilot in it. Use that instead of copying your Word documents into oops, it cost $4. I sent it off to, Anthropic's Opus model and got it back.
Well, you just gave me a great idea and an experiment that I'm going to run. So what you were talking about is something I do all the time where I write out a draft and then I Control A, select all, Control C, copy, switch over to Claude. I just write, polish this email and then paste it in.
I'm a bad writer. Make this not bad.
And then I copy the response and paste it back.
Yeah.
I never thought about this before, but I want to try the opposite of that. I want to take an email that I just got and say, look, I know this isn't the real email that the person wrote. I know that they pasted this into Claude and said, polish it up. Can you give me the original email? Give me the original email. That's the one I want.
It's a form of digital compression, right? You have what someone actually had in their mind and wrote down, and then it got compressed into business speak.
Yeah,
what if they mean?
I want the reverse. No, don't explain. No, I don't want the explain it to me. I want, give me the rough draft of this before they had the large language model polish it up. Because I don't want the LLM polish draft. Wouldn't the world be better if nobody polished their emails with Claude? Well, it'd be more real. It'd be more authentic.
It'd be more real. You said better. I disagreed with better. I agree with real. Oh my goodness.
Oh. At least this podcast is real, Daniel.
That's true. I try to outsource you to myself because I'm worried you're doing the same to me. He's been undercutting me at every point. Gary's been hiring people. I'm really worried for my job. I don't even have an employee number anymore.
Yeah, lose our employee numbers.
My goodness.
That was the last episode. Yeah. I do have multiple voice models for you, including an open weights one. I tried recently to clone you.
Why am I surprised?
On 11 Labs and it wouldn't let me because now you have to do like a voice verification to clone a voice on 11 Labs. It didn't used to be that way because I think I have an old model of like Mel Gibson and a number of different celebrities when it first released.
I mean, whatever. I'll give you permission.
You'll verify.
Sure. You need a clip for me.
The open weights one, no verification needed. So I've got your model there, and
part of our
we
problem.
both have. I've built 3D models of both of us.
Oh, good.
That can be inserted into absolutely anything.
Are we going to have merch like a 3D printed little like statue of they might be self-aware Daniel?
It could happen. It could happen.
There was a meme is not quite the right word, but like a very quick flash in the pan fad. I think it was one of the OpenAI image generators where they said, you can upload an image of yourself and it'll make like, here's the action figure of you in like box. And it looked really
that's
good.
On one of our thumbnails.
We might have showed a couple of those
or something.
If you built a 3D model of me from, I'm not even going to ask where you got the scans or when. I want that model. And I know people who have like 3D printers. I want to get an actual action figure of me. I think that'd be a hoot. That's a fun use of AI. Okay, we talk about all these business uses or doom and gloom, and it's going to put everyone out of a job. Can we do an episode where we talk about the fun episode? It's the fun one. Hey, what's the fun something that you did with AI?
AI is a better engine, and we are getting better engines, but engines need to be applied to things.
Yeah. Self-aware.
Self-aware.
That one was not one of my better segues. So actually, real quick, I realized
wrap this up, Hunter.
No.
If you're the real Hunter, show us how you end a show, Hunter.
I'm not ending the show yet because you said a thing. It's way late for the segue, but wow, I did really want to talk about it. Speaking of putting everyone out of a job, everyone thinks, oh, it's going to be like the white collar middle management. We're getting rid of all of the junior employees. A CEO did what I think is a very funny thing. He was the, I don't remember the name of the bank. Silicon Valley Bank?
Customers Bank.
That's what it was. So Customers
CEO
Bank.
Sam Sidhu.
It's a conference call, not a video call. It's a conference call. Like phone in your.
It's an earnings call. You have to do these for regulatory reasons.
So, blah, blah, blah. Q1 earnings, blah, 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 blah. It's 30 minutes in, and then the CEO says, actually, the last 30 minutes of me talking, that wasn't me talking. That was an AI clone. You said you had like AI local or otherwise voice clones of us. So this guy, to see what would happen, I guess, did it to himself. This is not an AI that of its own accord decided to talk about Q1 earnings. It had a script. It read, but 30 minutes of prepared an AI reading in this person's voice. From what I gather, it was not immediately obvious that was an AI.
Oh, I buy that entirely.
Yeah.
And if that came off as sarcastic, I'm not. I mean, voice audio generation. It often takes multiple revisions or generations. You got to generate maybe 10 to get the one that sounds human, but in the 10, you're going to get one that sounds human today. That's
if you can do that ahead of time and clip them together, which is what happened here. And Hunter, a couple of episodes ago, you were talking about like having someone in their own voice say things, and you're like gaslighting yourself. You didn't use the term
every morning.
We'll dig into that in a different episode. But I think we are our own harshest critic of like, does that sound exactly? No, I know what I sound like. But to most other people, when it's compressed from however many kilohertz to like 8 kilohertz audio is what you have on like a phone call, you could absolutely fake somebody to the point where nobody or almost nobody would know, even with emotional inflection. And what emotional inflection is there on a Q1 earnings call, right? So I thought that was really fascinating. The story here is really, it's just that he did that. There's not like a much else. There wasn't. There's the big
people
outrage.
Are upset.
Of course they're upset.
But,
There's
why
always
are they upset?
We're outraged.
Why should he get on this call and speak for 20 minutes when he can press a button and accomplish exactly the same thing? Why should he?
This meeting should have been an email is something that a CEO finally internalized and said, all right, well, at least it's not going to be me talking for 30 minutes about earnings. Anyone who's upset about that, don't be. I absolutely want to see more of that. Let's just take all the like weird drudgery and then automate that away. And once we know it's not a person talking, even if it was, have then the AI listen to that, make the transcript, and turn that 30-minute call into the 2 paragraphs that you actually cared about. That's what I think. And also what I think, because he did say it earlier before I went off on my last tangent here.
Take it away.
Yeah. What I think is that they might be self-aware, or at least self-aware, and I want to see you here, or have you listening to us here for subsequent episodes. And the best way to do that, well, you're already watching or listening to us, and so in whatever platform that is, if you aren't subscribed, consider it. I'm not going to say do it. I'm not your mom, or dad, or whatever, but maybe do it. And definitely, I don't know if we're still on hiatus on comments. Hunter and I did have a talk with Gary between episodes here. Hunter and I need to have more talks about Gary and maybe bring Gary in. We might need a different person to be sort of like the HR liaison. We're going to talk about that too. Maybe it's one of the other people Gary hired.
All right, Distilled Hunter.
You're
Wrap
our
it
HR
up.
person. I'm wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up. I'm Distilled. I'm not the real thing. I'm not as good at it as you. You listening to this or watching it, you're great. We love you. Subscribe if you aren't. Comment if you hadn't. And we'll see you next time on...
They might be self-aware.